Lauritzen Gardens is bringing lore to life with the help of artists from Hot Shops. Hot Shops is a public studio where people can see local artists in action and help support them by purchasing their work. These artists are bringing lore from all across the globe to Omaha's own backyard. To visit the folklore exhibit, you can reserve time ticket entries online for $10.
When we started thinking about a lot of the tales that are told all over the world, many of them tie back to nature in some way, shape, or form. It was a great way for us to incorporate art and nature and a little bit of whimsy into one exhibit.
Paula Wallace was the first artist Lauritzen Garden reached out to. After Wallace joined the team, it became her job to recruit artists who could participate in this exhibit.
She helped kind of make the connections at Hot Shops with people who had the time and whose talents could be used to create this exhibit.
I did have a sense that there were a number of artists here at the Hot Shops, where I have a studio, whose work would really be a good fit. It was a matter of that artist was perfect for that story by virtue of the nature of their work. I worked on The Giant, which is actually based on a character that I started at the beginning of lockdown, so now a year ago. It wasn't that we were just given a pile of instructions and told what to do. You had to really think about what you were making, and making something that was still a self-expression, but also fit within the narrative of the Gardens show.
Normally what I do is all commission work where you are building what they want, exactly what they want. It sounded like a fun job where I'd be able to just kind of play around and do whatever and not have so many constraints.
Some of the projects created for the exhibit presented challenges that required creative solutions.
The dragon, that one was challenging due to the fact of how it had to be installed and how heavy it was and where it was being installed at. They started planting it before I hung it because it'd be easier for them to do that, which added probably 300 or 400 pounds to it. I ended up having to make an I-beam and put a trolley on it with a chain hoist so that we could lift it up with that and then maneuver it into place.
Another challenge many of the artists faced was blending their work into the garden to make it look like their art really belonged in that environment.
My mom is the one who makes the dragonflies and the mermaids. Part of the challenge with that environment is how do you make it look natural and as if it belonged? Because it was really about trying to create poses, for the dragonflies, for them to look like they were in their natural environment. I tried to utilize the dragonfly motif on the central pot, and then it also forced me to take the pots that I would normally make and then kind of think a little bit beyond that. So it became much more sculptural. Just, when somebody sees something, you want it to impact them somehow.
So there was two different tales that I did. One was a Yara Mayahu, which is a creature that is kind of a cautionary tale for kids. Some rocks that are on the bottom and that he sits on, and they said, well, that's not glass, is it? And it is. It was just a different technique of making the glass look matte so that it looked kind of realistic. I also did a snake, which was made in parts and pieces. We're limited by the ovens at what we make. I couldn't make a 15-foot snake in one go, so to help it not look quite like it's in multiple parts, the Gardens crew went around and planted around it so it looks like it's kind of slithering in the ground cover. Basically, once the pieces that I made were set, it gave them time to realize how to really incorporate them and make them look like they were kind of supposed to be there, as opposed to just, oh, it got dropped there kind of thing.
Most of the plants were planted for color, to kind of create kind of an otherworldly environment, or to kind of tie along a theme. Like there's a dandelion sewn in the bed by the dandelion. There's snapdragons planted by the dragon. So some of it's a little more playful rather than a mythical take on the plantings. I love that there's so many layers, and that I know that there was so much time dedicated from both our staff's perspective to the artists themselves. You can walk through it multiple times and see something different every time. And to me, that mimics a garden, and how you can walk through a garden from one day to the next and something has changed, something else is blooming, or you notice different things.
This exhibit will be available until May 9th. To experience all the whimsy yourself, visit lauritzengardens.org to purchase your tickets.